Prince Harry has officially lost his final appeal against the British government over his security protection.
This is not a win for Harry. Prince Harry's battle over his security continues, and we have some new revelations coming out that apparently the Home Office does not want to extend security to Harry for political reasons.
Prince Harry certainly has a knack for making himself the centre of global attention. Harry is seemingly addicted to invading his privacy, invading the privacy of his friends and families, and appearing in public places.
Sir Geoffrey Voss dismissed the appeal and made it clear that Harry's frustration did not amount to a legal argument.
After years of courtroom battles, Prince Harry has officially lost his final appeal. The British government has confirmed he will not regain the automatic taxpayer-funded security he once enjoyed as a working royal.
So back in 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle shocked the world when they announced that they were stepping away from royal duties. Now, the move, quickly dubbed Mexit, it changed everything. Not only did they leave their official roles, but they also left behind many of the privileges that came with them. And one of those privileges, you might be asking, round-the-clock taxpayer-funded police protection.
Prince Harry has a remarkable knack for placing himself at the center of global attention. Time and again, he appears drawn to public spectacle, often at the cost of his own privacy and that of those closest to him.
He would not automatically receive the same level of security protection whenever he visited the United Kingdom. Instead, security assessments would be made on a case-by-case basis. Harry, we know, was furious because he's a spoiled man-child.
After 5 years of relentless legal warfare and millions spent in lawyer fees, the verdict has finally arrived. This is the outcome the palace had been quietly waiting for, and the unexpected twist no one predicted.
This is what Harry argued. But now, here is the emotional argument that Harry made that resonated with many of his supporters. So during his testimony, Harry described Britain as my home. Now, think about that for a moment, okay? Because despite living in California, despite the Netflix documentaries, despite the interviews, despite all the explosive memoir allegations and stories that he told in his book Spare, Harry still considers the United Kingdom his home.
Back in 2020, Prince Harry and Meghan Markle sent shockwaves around the world. Their announcement to step away from royal duties redefined everything the couple had once represented inside the House of Windsor.
And could have passed without anyone really noticing, but Harry wanted everyone to see him. He wanted to make the front page news, and he arrived turning up with a big grin on his face and leaving with a big grin on his face, looking like he's rather enjoying it all, which is probably not the best look for someone who's wanting us to believe that he's in trauma because of the invasion into his privacy, which came just before his own grotesque invasion of other people's privacy.
The move was quickly branded Mexit. It involved far more than walking away from official roles. It also meant forfeiting many of the privileges that came with them, including round-the-clock taxpayer-funded police protection.
Master of the Rolls, Sir Geoffrey Voss, dismissed the appeal and made it clear that Harry's frustration did not amount to a legal argument. In a line that is already making headlines around the world, the judge effectively stated that Harry's sense of grievance was not enough to overturn the decision.
Officials made one thing crystal clear from day one. Protection would now be evaluated case by case, not guaranteed. For Harry, the policy was a deeply personal betrayal. He would never again automatically receive the same level of security whenever he set foot in the United Kingdom.
We really need to contextualize the updates circulating in the news at the moment about Prince Harry and his security situation, because the headlines are misleading and the press is really running away with this story prematurely.
Harry's argument was as emotional as it was legal. His core point: without restored protection, Britain would no longer feel like a safe place to bring his children back to. During his testimony, he described Britain with a single powerful phrase: "This is still my home."
Because the timing is also very fascinating to me. Because while Harry was fighting this battle, he was simultaneously pursuing another legal war against British tabloids. Now, that case ended very differently. Harry secured a settlement over unlawful information gathering practices, a victory he viewed as an important stand for privacy and accountability.
Not everyone watching the case felt sympathy. Outside the courtroom, Piers Morgan's panel saw something very different. A man arriving with a wide grin, making the front pages off his own legal drama while complaining about invasions of privacy he himself had engineered.
Place Harry at a higher risk level. There just wasn't. Either there wasn't any current stalker or recent incidents to report, or the fact that he and Meghan were not living in the UK and weren't planning on coming back to the UK anytime. Remember, in 2020, COVID happened, borders closed, It wasn't like Harry was going to be coming back anytime soon. So the most important note here is that this is not a win. I keep seeing headlines that say this. This is not a win. He didn't have any sort of fresh battle or argument to launch with the Home Office or with RAVEC or anything of that nature.
When the verdict landed, it left no room for interpretation. Master of the Rolls Sir Geoffrey Voss dismissed the appeal, making one thing unmistakable. Harry's frustration, however deeply felt, was simply not a legal argument. One line from the ruling is already echoing around the world.
Looks like Prince Harry did some serious damage control as Australia has reversed its verdict to cut funding from the Invictus Games. But I ain't buying it. A lot of veterans are upset. And this just came in thanks to John Witherspoon of Forward Over because, Australia has done a U-turn. They had previously cut funding for the Invictus Games, but now veteran backlash has forced them to bring it back.
Several commentators insist the press is misrepresenting this story. The headlines and the actual ruling are telling two very different tales, with outlets running away with a misleading version of events before the facts have even settled.
Here's the problem. I don't think a lot of veterans actually are devastated. The reality is, if you go deeper into Invictus, a lot of veterans are actually more upset, asking where all the money actually goes to and how they're playing with the veteran money because they're getting a lot of funding from countries and places to get this, what would typically be veteran support income that then goes to putting on the Invictus Games.
What makes this loss cut deeper is the contrast. In a separate legal battle against British tabloids, Harry actually won. While fighting for security, he was simultaneously pursuing tabloid accountability, and that case ended very differently, with a settlement over unlawful information gathering.
That's life-changing money. Would the veterans have preferred $117,000 to purchase new prosthetics, to make their house ADA compliant, to purchase vehicles that could support their wheelchairs? She noted that similar veteran events cost far less, pointing out that the Warrior Games runs on an annual budget of about $2 million. Royal expert Hilary Forbes asked, the question I have is, does Prince Harry use the Invictus Games as a tax write-off? And is he making money off the back of veterans? If he's not, there should be full disclosure that he is not. Show us that he's not profiting.
One battle won, one lost, but the loss carries far heavier consequences. Authorities placed Harry at a lower risk level than many expected, pointing to the absence of fresh stalker incidents and the simple reality that COVID-era border closures had reduced his UK visits dramatically. Most importantly, this was not a victory.
The government will get flack for this. People go, why are we wasting money on this? I can't pay my rent. I can't pay my rent, but this brat of a prince who threw a temper tantrum over the last 6 years gets it, and I can't feed my kids well enough or something like that. There's just no appetite for that. And then you have the royals.
While the courtroom drama played out, another controversy quietly took shape. This one involved millions of dollars, redacted budgets, and a veterans charity now facing serious questions. Australia has reversed its decision to cut funding from the Invictus Games, but only after intense veteran backlash forced the issue.
SA and terrible things, torture in the Republic of the Congo. The indigenous rights charity Survival International alleged this week that wrongdoing by the parks was ongoing in the country and called on Prince Harry to resign as a member of the organization's board of directors.
On the surface, the funding reversal looked like a victory for Harry. But underneath, the real problem is that veterans are asking where all the money actually goes, how it is being spent, and whether funding meant for veteran support is flowing instead into staging the games themselves.
Prince Harry's, yes, I got to be careful with the keywords. He's been under fire because of his African Parks charity, which, again, people have asked him to step down because of the rangers that are working the nonprofit organization in African parks have been accused of, SA and terrible thing.
The numbers only made the picture worse. Royal commentators are now asking a sharper question. Is Harry personally profiting from any of this? Veterans could have used the funding to purchase prosthetics, make their homes ADA compliant, or buy vehicles to support their wheelchairs.
Prince Harry's battle over his security continues, and we have some new revelations coming out that apparently the Home Office does not want to extend security to Harry for political reasons.
Royal expert Hilary Forbes posed the question plainly. Does Prince Harry use the Invictus Games as a tax write-off, and is he making money off the backs of veterans? If he isn't, there should be full disclosure to prove it. The scrutiny ties directly to a broader backlash. Taxpayers asking why their money is being used this way.
It says Home Office tries to block new security for Prince Harry. Officials fear public outcry if Duke and Duchess of Sussex get taxpayer-funded protection.
Add to that the separate allegations against his African Parks charity, including accusations of torture and abuse in the Republic of the Congo, and a clear pattern begins to emerge. Survival International has called on Harry to resign from the board, marking yet another controversy in a growing chain.
With no further avenues to sue, Harry finally gave up and gave in and followed the normal channels that are in place for a VIP or a member of the royal family to access more security measures or to request an assessment, a risk assessment, in order to see if they can be granted additional security measures. He appealed to the Home Secretary in December of 2025, and the Executive Committee for the Protection of Royalty and Public Figures, nicknamed RAVEC, conducted a fresh risk assessment, which was the first full-scale review of his status since 2020.
Just when the case appeared settled, the story took a sharp new turn. A separate leak suggested the Home Office was secretly trying to block Harry from regaining security through an entirely different channel, using political considerations as the justification.
So, Harry publicizing these things so extensively in the fall, some people thought it was a little bit of a conspiracy, that maybe it was sort of a setup so that Harry could publicize it to make it look like there was heavier attention and public responsibility on Harry's security situation.
Officials feared exactly what you'd expect. A wave of public backlash if taxpayer money once again funded protection for a prince who voluntarily gave up his royal duties. The political risk of saying yes loomed far larger than the risk of saying no.
Why does Prince Harry actively go into dangerous countries where the threat is much higher? Think about it. He thinks he's the target of the Taliban. Geographically speaking, Harry is closest to the Taliban in Jordan. And then you also have Nigeria, which has its own terrorism problems. You know, you have Boko Haram up in the north and everything. And Harry is so worried about his security that he goes to the home country of Boko Haram and just thinks nothing is going to happen.
A different report, however, told an almost opposite story. Behind closed doors, officials had concluded Harry now qualified for protection. With no further avenues to sue, Harry finally gave up the legal fight and followed the normal administrative channels for requesting a risk assessment.
Now, there are extenuating circumstances where some celebrities do get government-funded security, like Taylor Swift when she was holding a huge concert at Wembley Stadium, especially after the terrorist plot that was uncovered at the Austria concert.
The trigger that reopened everything was a single stalker incident. Critics, however, noted the timing looked awfully convenient, publicized just as his legal options finally ran dry, raising suspicions that the threat was being amplified for strategic effect.
I think it was May or June of 2025 to BBC that he hadn't gotten a security assessment for 5 years, as if that was RAVEC and the Home Office's decision, is false. It turns out Harry could have been asking for his annual assessment all along, but he didn't, and his legal team didn't, because it would have basically undermined his case, which was frivolous and ridiculous in the first place.
If the threat is real, skeptics ask, why does Harry keep traveling to far more dangerous countries without a second thought? He claims to fear the Taliban, but he has visited locations geographically closer to Taliban territory, even Nigeria, home of Boko Haram, seemingly without alarm.
The hearings take place today and yesterday and could have passed without anyone really noticing. But Harry wanted everyone to see him. He wanted to make the front page news, and he arrived turning up with a big grin on his face and leaving with a big grin on his face, looking like he's rather enjoying it all, which is probably not the best look for someone who's wanting us to believe that he's in trauma because of the invasion into his privacy, which came just before his own grotesque invasion of other people's privacy.
Some commentators point to a precedent that complicates the entire debate. High-profile figures like Taylor Swift did receive heavy UK security, but only because of a specific, credible terror threat. The difference is the existence of an actual, documented danger.
He's made his own privacy a ruthless public commodity, trading in his secrets and those of his family and his friends, and sometimes even the people he lost his virginity to the highest bidders. The prince who fled Britain to protect, apparently, his family's privacy has laid bare every tawdry detail of his private life and theirs in this tell-all memoir, from drug abuse to intimate conversations with his father, the king, at his grandfather's funeral. He gave exclusive access to images of his children to the Netflix cameras. He toured TV studios discussing his frostbitten todger to sell copies of his book. He charged royal watchers $30 each to watch a live stream of a therapy session in which he again boasted about his drug use.
Even the timeline raises awkward questions. Had Harry simply requested annual reviews instead of filing lawsuits, this entire saga might have played out years earlier. He didn't ask, because doing so would have undermined the very case his legal team was constructing.
Well, Harry's hatred of the media was laid bare in 6 hours of media bashing for Netflix, which ironically is the same media company that just happens to have paid him $100 million, and of course is also airing The Crown, which invades the privacy of his entire family on a minute-by-minute basis and often grotesquely mischaracterises the truth. But no matter, there's money, so he'll keep quiet about that.
Then there is the irony neither side can deny. While fighting for personal security in one courtroom, Harry was simultaneously in another courtroom suing the tabloids for invading his privacy. Two battles that highlighted his complicated, contradictory relationship with public attention.
The institution he left has no intention of treating him as if he never left. And that may be the hardest verdict of all.
Morgan's critique was blunt and simple. A man who sold Netflix his family's secrets, auctioned his love life in a memoir, and live-streamed a therapy session cannot credibly claim the press is the one stealing his privacy. Harry's privacy has long been a public commodity, traded at the highest price.
I feel sorry for Harry, actually. I think he's a deeply disturbed young man who needs a lot of support. And I think if you look at the therapy session that he did in the US, that is not something that I think somebody who is completely in command of their, of themselves and is getting good advice from public relations people, has a supportive team around them. I don't think that's something that a person like that would do.
The deeper hypocrisy became impossible to ignore. Harry's hatred of the media was laid bare across 6 hours of media bashing for Netflix, the very same media company that paid him $100 million, and that airs The Crown, a show that invades his family's privacy with every episode.
There is nobody around.
I think he's got a lot of enablers. And they're fueling his kind of perpetual victimhood. And yet when I watched him marching into court the last couple of days, I don't see a victim at all. I see a
victim.
Do you?
I see a victim of circumstance, to echo you, of tragedy, of pain.
Even narrators covering the security angle noticed the same contradiction. Harry wants control over his own narrative while demanding that the system bend to protect him. The institution he left has no intention of treating him as if he never left, and that may be the hardest verdict of all.
Right now, with the pressures over everything regarding Andrew, you have Sarah Ferguson, the York sisters, and of course, Harry and Meghan deeply wrapped up in that as well. The negative headlines are just never ending for the British monarchy. And the last thing the public needs to see is a petulant brat of a prince getting security just because he has delusions of grandeur, and so does his wife. But this also reveals some, I think, bigger discussions going on about the monarchy and its role within society. Because, of course, in the Times of London, the peppercorn rent issue.
The panel's verdict on Harry's state of mind was unmistakable. Several voices concluded he is a deeply troubled young man, surrounded by enablers, fueling his perpetual sense of victimhood. Yet the image of him marching into court grinning told a different visual story than the one he wanted to project.
The British government is obligated to protect his family just because he happens to be the son of a king. And of course, that raises a lot of questions. And we have a lot of issues going on within the British monarchy that this brat just doesn't really seem to appreciate. And the bad thing, too, is Harry is so complaining that he needs security because he is the son of the king. But if his campaign leads to there being no more monarchy,
Harry's security fight is not happening in isolation. It is landing at the most turbulent stretch the monarchy has faced in years, alongside scandals around Andrew, Sarah Ferguson, the York sisters, and a cost of living crisis that makes royal privileges harder than ever to defend publicly.
it was insane. Civil servants from the Home Office, the Cabinet Office, and Foreign Office who sit on the committee are understood to oppose granting the couple taxpayer-funded protection whenever they are in the UK because it would carry too much political risk. Of course it would. There's just no appetite for that. And then you have the royals as well. In the midst of the chaos regarding Andrew, and of course Harry and Meghan as well, you have Epstein and so many other things going, yeah, you know what?
The British government is obligated to protect his family simply because he is the son of the king. Yet questions keep mounting about why the public should pay for a prince who walked away from duty. If his campaign ultimately leads to the end of the monarchy, every decision about Harry will be judged through that lens.
Clearly, Harry's level of threat would be much, much, much lower than, for example, Prince William and his family. It's also important to remember that the amount of security and its extent will still be customized to the person.
Civil servants from the Home Office, Cabinet Office, and Foreign Office are understood to oppose granting the couple taxpayer-funded protection. The political risk is simply too high, and any approval would arrive at exactly the wrong moment in the monarchy's current public standing.
Meghan Markle is haunted by the Sussexes' slippery slide into global unpopularity. But the difficult Duchess believes she has the solution: to make more solo appearances and be seen with hapless Harry as little as possible. Has concluded there is only one way to be liked by the masses again, and that is to drastically reduce the number of times she is seen with Harry and avoid the toxicity she perceives he spreads wherever he goes. Naturally, the scheming Duchess is confident that cutting old ginger nuts out of the picture will swiftly restore her to her rightful place as an internationally loved.
Harry's threat level would be significantly lower than that of Prince William and his family. The amount and type of security will always be tailored to the individual, but the broader point is that Harry's case does not match the threshold normally required for full protection.
Well, I think as a couple, they've made a conscious decision to put themselves out there. And I think there's something else that Harry can't control, which is what do people think about him. And if you look at the polls on Harry and Meghan, and I spend a lot of my time looking at the polls, well, I've never seen a brand collapse this hard, this quickly. Since the end of last year, both Harry and Meghan are down 40 points. We've just had a poll in America which shows he's less popular now than Prince Andrew in America.
Right.
Separately, reports suggest Meghan has reached her own conclusion. To rebuild her image, she believes she must reduce her appearances alongside Harry, distancing herself from the toxicity she perceives he now carries wherever he goes in public life.
Matters came to a head during the Duke and Duchess's recent pretend royal tour of Australia, where the muted crowds seemed underwhelmed and ticket sales for their cash-for-trash appearances were far from phenomenal. Then, after returning to the States, jealous Meghan went green with envy over the rapturous reception for her sworn enemy Catherine, the wildly popular Princess of Wales. On her first foreign visit since her brave battle to beat cancer, William's universally admired wife took Italy by storm.
The numbers say otherwise. Recent polling on Harry and Meghan shows both their brands collapsing together, not separately. One American survey now has Harry less popular than Prince Andrew, a striking symbol of how far both reputations have fallen in the public eye.
That was too much for the seething Duchess, who promptly flew to Switzerland to deliver her tit-for-tat, heart-rending speech on online harm to children. As in, anything Kate can do, I can do better. Trouble was, No one much cared about Meghan's unexpected European excursion. Embarrassingly, the tiny throng who listened to her worthy but dreary al fresco oratory about the evils of social media included a bored bunch of Swiss commuters waiting for a bus.
The theory of separation took another hit during their recent Australia tour. Underwhelming crowds and lukewarm ticket sales stood in stark contrast to Princess Catherine's rapturous reception during her first foreign visit since her cancer battle, a comparison that stung even more on the global stage.
It's the most disgusting thing you could have, because she would be absolutely nothing, well, she's still not much, but she should be absolutely nothing without Harry. I mean, he'd got a wedding for her, he's given her masses of jewellery, very expensive.
Royal biographer Angela Levin, who spent a year researching Harry for her book, was equally blunt about what she believes drives the couple's dynamic. In her view, Meghan would have been nothing without Harry, and the imbalance of power within the relationship continues to define everything around them.
This was simply normal procedure commencing following his legal battles ending. This means that he had not requested one while those legal proceedings were ongoing. Because oftentimes when a legal proceeding is happening, when there's an active legal case, things are kind of frozen. Nobody wants to talk to the other party. Nobody wants to make any changes to anything during that time because it could affect the case. So lawyers usually advise, don't make contact and don't try to change anything right now. Freeze until this case is over.
Legally, Harry has nothing left to fight with, every appeal exhausted, every ruling against him. Administratively, however, through RAVEC, he may still secure some form of protection. It was simply normal procedure commencing once his legal battles ended, not the comeback his team may try to frame it as.
Again, the last thing it needs is Prince Harry out there going, yes, look, I got my taxpayer-funded security back. Aren't you so excited, British taxpayers, to be paying for my lifestyle once again? No one wants that. I think it would be disastrous for Harry's public image, but
5 years after walking away, Prince Harry has lost his case, lost his appeal, and arguably lost a fair share of public goodwill. Yet he may still end up with police protection through the back door. Whether that outcome is justice, irony, or simply the system doing its job is something royal watchers will be debating for weeks to come.